For more on these appointments, from our Deputy Governor of Ogun State, Senator Gbenga Kaka, joins me now on the program. Thank you for joining us on the program, distinguished Senator. The President promised a government of national competence, and we may have just seen the first batch of this cabinet that will make up the National Executive Council of his administration. 4 ex-governors and quite a number of sitting and former lawmakers. What's your first impression of this list?
Well, I think it's a very good blend. Good in the sense that we have what people call technocrats enlisted, and those with experience in governance. We have them in abundance here. Former ministers are there. We have former governors with wealth of experience coming on board. And the politicians that we normally say that they wouldn't want to work, and some other person will come and take their position or being used instead of them. Many of them, in large number, were also included. Then those who actually worked, even from other parties, to ensure the success of the party and of course, the Mr. President. We can say that some of them were adequately compensated also. So by and large, I think it is a good start. And you look at the whole nation, as expected, well represented from all the states in the Federation, subject to the addendum that will come in the next few days.
Of course, I was just going to say maybe not all states yet until we see the remaining part of this list.
And then we cannot afford to leave them. The other states are coming on board. So it's a good start, and I think like some of us expected, many people will not be disappointed. The assumption was that Mr. President is fully on top of the game. And I personally, I often tell people that right from the conclusion of the election, Mr. President is having his first 11 cabinet members, the second 11 are in the wings, and the third 11 are in the wings. Like a good coach, all he needed to do, which he had been doing before now, is to shovel the list available and then try to give us the best. I think in an attempt to give us the best, that's why it was 28. Maybe they are still trying to cross the T and dot the I. So that's why the entire list was not made complete.
But Senator, are you disappointed that the president seems to have continued the tradition of sending this list without attaching their portfolios? Or is that something you expect that it will do subsequently?
Well, if the CV is attached, it will assist the Senate in their screening process. But without it as well, you look at the caliber of people on the list. I don't know what type of CV we are looking for again. Is it from the governors, or from the former ministers, or from the National Assembly members that are now being listed? So most of them will be asked to take a bow and go. So whether attached or not attached, I'm sure a good job has been done. And by the grace of God, Mr. President, we know we have freely given him the mandate. And the buck stops at his table. So he has the mandate. he has actually informed the Nigerians that he will be accountable. So whatever he does and he refuses to do, the buck stops at his table. So that we should give him the latitude to walk and feel free to choose among the people he thinks can best deliver the dividend of democracy to Nigerians.
You know, it's interesting you mentioned, Senator, that some people will take a bow and go, just as the tradition we've seen in previous assemblies. But how does that strengthen the screening process and also engage these nominees in such a way that they will sit up when they eventually get their offices?
Well, it's been the tradition. It is assumed that for a formal National Assembly member to have merited being nominated for cabinet position, he must have exhibited the needed quality, so that the thinking is that it will be mere wasting of time and then lack of disrespect for the would-be candidate. So, by and large, the honor, I don't think it's well. It's not a displaced honor. So it's well placed, and sustaining the tradition is not saying that people cannot ask questions. Sometimes they derive pleasure in even asking more questions from a particular person before eventually asking to or her to take a bath. So it depends on the approach and then the frame of mind of the legislators themselves to do what is expected of them. Sometimes they enjoy the intellect of some nominees and engage him even beyond what is expected, not out of the fact that they want to humiliate or do anything untoward, but they want to satisfy themselves that, yes, this is the man, and prove to the world that, yes, he or she merited that particular slot.
All right. Just let's take a few minutes, Senator Kaka, to take a look at some of the responses we're getting on social media as regards what Nigerians think of the makeup of this initial list. Dipo Oyenola is saying that too much of known politicians, fingers crossed, according to Adipo 656. And Adebayo S. Yomi is saying, I'm impressed, especially with Dr. Edu Umahi, Wali, and Wiki on the list. I'm sure they will deliver. Ledum Madiba Tigbara is saying the best ministerial nominees in the history of Nigeria, and Yusuf Issa, most unexpected, according to that tweet. For Rasolam, it would have been 100% if the list came with the portfolios, but you hear the senators say that the CVs of these people are perhaps known, and it's easy for the lawmakers to decide. Governor Ade is saying agreement is agreement, and that sounds familiar, you know, if you know what he's talking about. Ayuba Lima, I lost hope with the renewed hope agenda with people like Badaru on the list. Not quite sure why you are not interested in the former governor. Comrade Opia is saying reward for those who supported and worked hard for him during the election, compensation for some politicians, and then there are some quality individuals on the list. Above all, they are competent and have done well in their various fields. We can only wish him the best and also pray. Remember to use the hashtag first 100 days and also tag at TVC News and at Nifemi Oguntoye. Let me get back to you, distinguished senator. Just before we let you go, let's talk about the gender balance on this initial list. 7 out of the 28 nominees are women, making 25%. Are you impressed?
Well, of course, yes. From the amended constitution, minimum of 10% of the women are expected. And you look at 10% of 40, that's 4. So if you are having 7, and we still have about 15 more, 14 or 15 more to go. So the likelihood is that out of the remaining 15, we are still likely to have 3 or 4 or more.
Let me butt in very quickly. Let's talk about that amendment, 10%. I mean, countries like Rwanda have achieved as high as 50%. You know, don't you think we should have risen the bar beyond 10%, even at the minimum?
Don't get it wrong. When you hear a minimum of 10%, that can mean 95%. It can mean even 100%. If the president decided to make it 100% and all women cabinet, I don't think anybody will raise any eyebrow. After all, they are our mothers.
I hear you, Senator, and I didn't quite get you wrong. I'm saying minimum puts it at minimum, right? It now, you know, the president is now at liberty to do more than 10. But I'm saying to match up with the gender balance expectation, don't you think we should have increased the minimum beyond 10%? We've done 10% in the past, so it's not an improvement from what has pre-existed.
I'm telling you that already the 7 is above 10%. And Mr. President is at liberty to increase the number in the second batch of 15, either 14 or 15 that will be coming. So, whichever way it goes, it is never too late. Amendment could still be made. And mind you, we have 42.
All right.
Cabinet members. Out of the 42, Mr. President is at liberty to reshuffle and bring in new faces.
All right.
So I don't think it's not iron packet.
I get your optimism, distinguished Senator. I'm afraid that's our time. Former Deputy Governor of Ogun State, Senator Gbenga Kaka, who is also a distinguished senator. Thank you so much for finding time to talk to us on the program this evening.
Thank you very much.